First sheriff of Sumter County killed in the line of duty. How many did you say to go?
I have a list for 140 plus, so.
One down, 139 to go. We're headed down the road looking for another cemetery that's on the list to do. And we're not gonna be able to get to it today, but it's back there in the woods. We can see a chain link fence and you can see it on satellite photography, but the old pin for the cemetery places it in here, in this these woods here. It's obviously not there though, so there's another thing that needs to be corrected. This one back here is a case where this cemetery does not own itself, so private property, and it's gated, so we can't go to it. She said there's an extensive burial list, and it's from the
late 1800s.
Late 1800s.
That'll be one I'll have to send a letter out on.
Yeah. So people in a race car. Okay. They're about to go. There it is. There it is. Can't get them in the. I don't know if you can see it in the rearview mirror. Out playing with the car, laying down some drag.
Good thing we didn't try to trespass on that cemetery. They'd have just attracted the law.
That's right. Exactly. I don't know if the camera will pick it up or not, but. They're goofing off for sure. Next.
Give me just a second.
We'll see you at the next one. Maybe, hopefully. Listening to the car. They're really goofing off down there. Next one's right here, so we're seeing all sorts of different variety of cemeteries today. We are getting more into civilization too.
Do this one drive by.
Drive by, all right. You want me to stop her? The Sunset Memorial Gardens, so kind of a new place. But still all important for the survey work. It's funny to think about this, looking at this cemetery, and we see older cemeteries so often, but they started out like this,
A lot of the modern cemeteries, they do the flat brass plaques so they can just mow them real quick.
Yeah. You good there?
We're good there.
All right. Next, it's taking us from the woods and dirt roads into, I don't know if we're in the Americas or not. But
yeah, we're in Americas.
We're in Americas, okay.
Downtown Americas, a couple of blocks that way. Let's see. Go ahead and head that way. I got a new GPS pin for the one we went and looked for on the railroad tracks.
All right. So if we're where I think we are, this big tornado came through here in 2007 and came right through this area and destroyed the hospital here.
The hospital's over there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that was there's the Zaxby's. It was just down below here. Came through, big tornado, devastated this area, destroyed the hospital, and I just did an incredible amount of damage. I think it was March. I don't know, it was a very early March, 2007. It was a big bustling city of Americus, Georgia. And there's nothing to see now, and we couldn't see anything for the Chick-fil-A, but this hospital that I was talking about being destroyed was right out there in what's a cluster of trees now. I remember it standing as a big old spooky looking vacant building after the tornado.
Yeah, the whole front of it was missing. You could see into the rooms.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Am I going straight?
Yeah, you go all the way to the end of this road.
End of this road. This road has been heavily sanded too. All that rare snow we had. And America's got it worse, I think, down here. We got about 4 inches back home, and they got up to 6 inches, maybe 7, 8 in some parts. Cecil was down finding cemeteries when it started snowing too. I was having major fear of missing out. They sent me pictures of cemeteries in the snow. I was at my farm, freezing.
Go that way. Okay. Yeah, you can pull up in there. I'll get this one real quick.
Gotcha.
Non-perpetual care.
Yeah. Staley Memorial Gardens Incorporated, non-perpetual care.
I'll get a picture of the sign on this one.
Okay.
Every grave in here has flowers on it.
Yeah. Something like this may never go into disrepair like some of the others we've seen, but at the same time, I've seen a lot that may have started off as something cleared like this and then go into disrepair, non-perpetual care, though that's kind of a sign. And it'd be hard to imagine a place like this, for us seeing it today, ever becoming a forgotten, overgrown place, but I'm sure that for every single cemetery that we've seen, for the most part, that's been abandoned and overgrown, people thought the same thing, that they would never imagine that they would be forgotten cemeteries today.
This one right here. Look
Straight ahead.
ahead.
Yep.
Maybe. May just be a yard.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Maybe not. Maybe not. It's fenced separate from the house. There's a mailbox there in the center. It looks like that's the old foundation for a house right there.
Yeah, let's back that way.
Okay, so we turn around. That is the forgotten history of the future for someone to wonder about.
Right here, at this corner, cemetery is supposed to be in that cluster of trees. This property and this property, that one right there, is owned by somebody else.
Gotcha.
And that's where the pin is that I've got, is right there.
Okay.
That cluster of trees.
So that one was a little sketch we determined to walk to. Cecil was going to send a letter and see if you can't access that one, because that one's got 2 different properties that are kind of... That was loud. That one's got 2 properties that are kind of butted up to it, and just the entrance to go in there is kind of difficult. And we don't know for sure that it's there because it's an approximate location. We've already looked for the cemetery once, and it turned into a weird situation. So, get some today to get some later. Hey everybody, it's Robert coming to you with another adventure into history. Today Cecil and I are on the hunt for a cemetery. First we got to go up the hill and over the tracks and into the woods. It's a heck of a hill. Cecil, what are we looking for?
Barlow Cemetery.
And this is one that hasn't been documented before, I don't think. This one's been surveyed, but it's never been photographed, right?
I don't even know if it's been surveyed.
Gotcha.
It's on the old tax map, and in a history book there's supposedly just a few rock graves and box tombs.
So we're on county-owned land right now. It's just woods. Looking for the cemetery. Cecil is looking for it on old maps right now. Doing this thing with trying to research exactly where we're going in these woods. This is the cemetery that we looked for before, right? That was...
Yeah, and the map was off.
Yeah. So we have looked for this before. This cemetery is supposed to have been cut out on tax maps, so it's separated out from the surrounding land and marked off as just a cemetery. We looked for it before in the land that was cut off, and sectioned out as a cemetery, but the tax map got it wrong. That wasn't the land that was cut out for a cemetery. So I'm trying it again now out here on this old county land, but I saw something else that's just got to be a mystery. You just gotta wonder how they got it out here. I guess it's truly been here for a little bit. Ain't water nowhere near here, is there?
Not close. I think Lake Blackshear is the closest.
Yeah. All right, so we've found it. It was a lot closer to a very upset dog than we thought it would be. Brick tombs, concrete. So we got 1 and 2 graves here. These are just one big concrete pour, but would be for 2 graves. This one here that's kind of offset. It's the first one I wiped off. Second one, no markings on these graves. But over here we definitely have another grave. We've got a bunch more graves actually. There's an indention right there. Very clear indention with the bricks at the head of it, with a broken cemetery artifact water vessel thing right here. Seems like kind of an old one. And there's a lot more graves, yeah. There's one there. And there. Right there, there's a grave. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, at least 12. Okay, so it got real loud out there with the upset dog. We had to trek really far through the woods to get to this place. I don't remember this.
Yeah, we didn't cross it. We come on that side.
I'll follow you. So that's another one found, and one with very little marking. Found, and Cecil added it to his cemetery survey. So oh, great. Good doggies. Good doggies. Good scary doggies. Your friend is leaving. You should probably go with your friend. Hey. Hey, how you doing, buddy? How you doing? We're going this way. You stay that way. Oh yeah, you won. You won. We leaving. Yeah, you lost your backup. Your backup chickened out, and so did you. Okay. maybe this isn't the one where we get mauled by dogs. Okay, he's going home. He's going home. So the dog is very unhappy about our presence here, clearly. Wanted us to leave, which we are trying to do. Well, that was a different kind of adventure right there. We found a cemetery that had not been surveyed. Had to walk pretty far through the woods to get to it because no one knew where it was. It wasn't listed accurately anywhere. We're on county land, in the woods on land that the tax records identify as county land. Those dogs, they decided to get out of the fence. Come tell us we probably should leave. They got spooky there for a moment. Them two running towards us. Had to, once we reasoned with the lab, we could reason with him. He left, his buddy backed out. Just scary, spooky. Okay, so whereas the other cemetery was a bust, we've come up here to Founders Park here in Americus, Georgia, in downtown Americus, Georgia. This is the oldest cemetery in Americus and has the oldest known burials in Sumter County. Interesting place. 1843, Rachel Denard, and then this is somebody else, Denard, 53. That's a cool stone. That's going to be old. These are real tall headstones that we talk about sometimes. Well, there's a lot of words. Died 24th January, maybe. That's 1838. I should have brought my glasses. Age 24 years, so he died 1838. February the 19th, 1838. This is to the memory of William M. Turvin, 1838. That is a big stone, though. It's definitely one of the older styles. And they've done some kind of, I guess you'd call it renovation to the cemetery to make it where it's got all these benches and concrete paths and stuff. George Robinson, 1st Lieutenant, McCrary's Company, Georgia Cavalry in the Indian Wars. Second one of those I've seen that I know of. December 9th, 1839.
And he's part of the story we're going to tell in a minute.
Yeah.
And the other one's up here.
Okay. So this is John Kimmey, 2nd Lieutenant, McCrary's Company, Georgia Cavalry, also in Indian Wars, March 13th, 1802 to December 11th, 1839.
John Kimmey was the first sheriff of Sumter County. I believe he was elected in 1837. He served as 2nd Lieutenant in the same company as George Johnson down there. George Johnson was 1st Lieutenant. George Johnson killed John Kinney. John Kinney also killed George Johnson.
Oh, snap.
If you look, see the Windsor Hotel from here.
Yeah.
Before the Windsor Hotel, there was another hotel on that block. I don't know if it was this side or this side of the road, called the Franklin Hotel. And somehow John Kimmey and George Johnson got into an argument. Well, George hit John in the face with a Bowie knife.
Oh, man.
John, in turn, shot George. Well, George's friends came after John. John ran. He ran to the Franklin Hotel, which was basically like a house, and he hid up under it. George's friend found John hiding up under the house and shot him.
Oh, snap.
And then he ran. George lived for about 2 hours. So his death date is December the 9th. John lived for 2 days after being shot, so his death date is December 11th. And the other guy that shot him after he was hit in the face with the knife got away, and they never caught him.
And what do you know why? Why did he kill him?
Doesn't say what the argument was about. I do know that George Johnson was running against him for sheriff in the upcoming election.
First sheriff of Sumter County killed in the line of duty.
And he was recently added to the list of official law enforcement that was killed in duty for Georgia.
Looking for another cemetery now. And it doesn't seem like it's actually going to be here. There's some snow on the road, so we can look at that. This is a case where there was a cemetery that was recorded as being in a spot on a very poor survey, and it's not there, so. Now, so working on some of these old surveys are trash, in other words, is what I'm saying. This is the area that the cemetery is supposed to be in. No cemetery, but cool old house. And I guess that cemetery was supposed to be somewhere near it, but where they said it was, it isn't. So we've come to our, I don't remember, what is this, 13?
12 or 13?
Yeah. This is the old Botsford Community Rural Hill Methodist Church Cemetery. I've been here before. The other Robert has also done a video on this place. I did a video a long time ago on this cemetery, and the other Robert did one more recently. When I did it, it was completely overgrown, and now it's been cleaned up. But this is a cool one, and it looks good, all covered in the snow. Look how deep the snow is here still. There's the dirt right there. Let's see. They got some snow down here, you know. Look at that. I know that the graves continue out back here. Remember one that we did, you and I did in Marion County, where I think the guy died at Camp Wheeler? There's another one who died at Camp Wheeler here. It'd be interesting to go back and look at the date and see if they died around the same time period. Earl W., son of L.R. and Susie Witt, born February 17th, 1892, died at Camp Wheeler, November 29th, 1917. And I think that was near Macon, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's parents are right here. Well, L.R. Witt is right here. That's Lucy Hill over there. That might be, I don't know, maybe a second wife or something. Don't know, actually. Shouldn't guess on that, on their relations, I guess. Yeah, when I was here before, this section back here was completely overgrown. And I think someone had started cleaning it up when other Robert came out here and did a video. And he did a really good video on this cemetery. But this is an old one out here in this area, and it was overgrown and has now been fixed up, so yeah, it's good to see. It's always good in these old cemeteries to check the woods. Of course, before, these were the woods. These were kind of the hidden graves out here. And even more so on churches that date back to pre-Civil War days, we often find a burial ground for people who were enslaved, and maybe later their descendants who continued burying there that are not marked with the other burials. So,
Little gate.
Gate right there. I don't even see remnants of a fence out here where that would have come from. This is all, I've always liked this cemetery. I'll look out here real quick because oh yeah, Cecil, Cecil, look out here, sir. Look at that. Almost forgotten. J.M. Moore, October 29th, 1846 to August 12th, 1878. I saw a footstone here. Didn't see that one. You see something like that. And there's usually never just one. Maybe. Maybe right there. Kind of looks like an indention, but I don't know for sure. Yeah. Is that an indention? Or is that?
Looks like it.
Yeah. Maybe here too. No. Not hard to say.
Fieldstone.
Yeah. Oh, that was cool. Cool to revisit this one. Regardless, it's always sad about the little forgotten grave over there though. Just noticed this coming back out of the woods is there used to actually be a fence that separated out this cemetery from this side and then over there. Now you see that a lot with segregated burials that happened back in the early days, but I don't know if that's what, you know, this case is here or not. I have to look at census records and identify, but always fascinating to see. And this was a cool one to stop back and visit. Then you got everything you need, Cecil?
Yep.
All right, and we'll get out of here. On to the next. So we are right down the road from the one we just stopped at. This is the former site of the St. Mark's Lutheran Church. This is also in the old Botsford community, which is long gone. This is another one that I've been to before, and the other Robert has also done an extensive video on this, probably a little over a year ago. So I'm not going to take too close a look, but just make sure I document all the different places that we're stopping at today as far as Cecil's documentation goes. Because what I really wanted to do with this video was not only document the places that we go today, but document what Cecil does. This grave is cool right here. William Jennings, born November 20th, 1836 and died December 30th, 1909. Look at that. He's got a cross in the middle, the gates open. There were a bunch of Lutheran churches around here too. You don't see that quite as often or quite as common in other parts that we're usually in, but there were several Lutheran churches around here, as I recall. So on to the next. I may be having mild technical difficulties with my camera. I don't know, but we're looking for another cemetery down a little dirt road, and we may have possibly found it. Never mind the oversized tires rubbing. Well, I guess I can just park here if we're going to look in there.
Nothing there on it.
Turn the car off. Oh, is this the one that's on Jimmy Carter's land? No. No? Oh.
I don't think so.
It's on Carter Farms. Is it New Lebanon Baptist Church?
It's further down.
That's a different one. Okay.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Might have something. Yeah, New Lebanon's the next one further down the road.
Gotcha. Cell service interruptions. So here's what I'm doing. Well, Cecil's waiting for the internet to work. I'm looking at this is Onyx, and it shows property lines and who owns what. So we know when cemeteries.
This shouldn't be hard to find.
Oh, let's get the boardwalk. Right? Yeah. That's another one that Other Robert went to, and he walked all around it and then found the boardwalk that went to it. I don't remember what it... I saw the video because I wasn't with him. He filmed that on his own. Brought me the chip and edited it. There's it's near here because there's a lot of stuff in these woods, and he walked all around. There it is. Yep, there's a boardwalk. Okay. It looks like it's way more overgrown than it was when he came here too. So I guess we'll come back. It's a boardwalk. All right. I'm actually pretty excited to see this cemetery. This is one that the Other Robert went to, and I only got to see it on video. And I remember that Other Robert told me that he walked all around this place trying to find this cemetery like we were about to do. But when he filmed it, it was very clear, very open, and it's not now. It's grown up. So just that quick between his filming of it, which maybe it was like 2 years ago, I guess. It looks like it's in greater disrepair. We'll just kind of take a quick look at it as Cecil does his surveying because we're getting low on light. Don't want to waste any time. It says Drury Murray and his second wife, Susanna Champion, moved here from Lawrence County in 1833. That year, their third child, John William Folwood, was born. After Ellen and Mary, and before Charity and Queen Anne Elizabeth, John married Alethea Josephine Parker in 1860 and bore Willie, Zuella, Margaret, Elizabeth, Drury Parker, John William Captain, Susan, Aletha, Almer, Clyde, Anna Josephine, and Nathan Drury. John and their wives are buried here with Willie Z and her family. Captain and Drury divided the land, and the eastern portion was acquired by Captain's granddaughter, Rosalind, and her husband, Jimmy Carter. So this is Rosalind Carter's people.
Yeah.
Another big old cedar that's partly dead. Mrs. E.C. Bates, 1827 to 1906. And again, for full video on this, the Other Robert's got one. You'll just have to scroll back a little ways. It should be in our Sumter County playlist. The cemetery looks more maintained than the path up to it, that's for sure. And the old boxwoods growing back there. So that's cemetery number
14, 13, 14.
I thought 15. I guess I was one ahead. I should count all the ones that we weren't able to actually see too. If we drove past one, it's over there, but we'll have to send letters. Count those too.
This is it.
This is it. Cemetery number 14 or 15. So this one is a predominantly African-American cemetery. And it's still being Used, it looks like there's 1804. I want to look at this one over here. There's VA plate, the bronze plate. These are kind of specific to these lower counties, these more southern counties. This is a marker that's really common in African American cemeteries down here. This is Julia Williams, 1886 to 1941. But just look at that stone there. I think it's concrete that's been maybe whitewashed at one time, but the engraving is really nice. I've discussed this before on other videos, but the lower the road, usually the older it is, because as these roads are graded over the years, they get cut lower and lower and lower. And in some cases, they're of course cut through hills, but usually back these old dirt roads, they just get graded lower and lower. Cecil is a navigator for this this adventure, of course, because he's doing the survey and I'm tagging along basically here. But so I'm just driving while I wait for him to tell me where to go, and playing in the snow a little bit. What's left of the snow. Forgot to turn the traction control off. I saw that lighting up on the dash. We got a little fork in the road.
See which way you want over here.
Yeah. Which way? That way? Alright. As soon as we take if we'd gone that way, then all the cool stuff would be down here. But since we're going this way, all the cool stuff is going to be down the other way.
Well, there's one more church down in here.
Okay, cool.
Or how old it is. And it's at the end of Mad Dog Road.
Mad Dog Road. Well, that's fitting. All right, so we're here to see another old graveyard. I guess it's over there. This is another old church. I think this one is called the, what'd the sign say? The BBC Cemetery?
Bethlehem Baptist.
Bethlehem Baptist, that's right.
I think there's more cemetery up the woods that way.
I see stuff right there. This in the woods, so yeah, I agree.
It was founded in 1864. just cut off.
It died?
Yep.
You can grab mine and use it to take pictures. And just send them to you if you want. I've got a microphone that's gone bad too. So having to switch up a little bit the way we're doing this. My phone should be over there.
Charge, we'll walk through.
We've got Spanish moss again in the trees. If they buried all the way back to 1864, that would be pretty impressive. So this is another cemetery or church that's predominantly African American, and 1864 is. The church was founded then. It would have been founded back prior to emancipation, which is interesting. Oh man, it's look through the woods. So I'd like to see if there's any older burials out here. These are going to be anywhere from the 50s to modern time with this style of marker that we're seeing, these concrete markers, but I'd love to find some older graves out here. And I just realized that my camera 2 is almost dead. So we have to kind of move quick. And we got to charge all of our devices. I see artifacts over here. We got purple glass. I wonder if there's old stuff right in there, in that thicket. There's, there's graves right here. Cecil?
Yeah.
Grave, indentions, just indentions. They're marked with, like that, a little pot. This is a big old cemetery. It's way larger than I thought it would be. Old plot, but nothing visible, but this fence is much older than what all is around it, because those are in 90s and 2000s. What is that? Oh, it's just foam. Now that could be older. Really? Cecil just found a slab over there completely buried. And there's also this. I mean, there's no telling how old that is, you know? Could be newer. Would never have been able to see this. Look how much it's covered up. And it's just... I think that's concrete. So there's granite, fieldstone. Back to that. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Wow. Oh, look at this. This is, now we're getting into more of an abandoned section. 1999. Ouch. Yeah, that's the 1999, the VA marker. Eddie, Germany.
Some marble ones there.
Yeah, is that an... Here, well, let me hand you this. Go back there, but I'll just... You can't tell, that's a VA stone right there that's fallen over.
There's another VA stone there too.
What's the date on this? 52. More in the woods there. Oh, there's one right there. Got some old white paint on it. It kind of sticks out.
Bunch of water vessels over here.
Yeah, this is cemetery artifacts. It looks like somebody may have cleaned up out here and kind of just tossed these artifacts off into the woods. There's a lot of them out here in the wood line. And if you're not familiar with it, I've talked lots of times on video about burial artifacts in African American cemeteries. Kind of something that's special and specific to African American burials, going back to times of enslavement and after. Haven't seen it too much in modern burials, but generally older, maybe up until the mid-1900s. What does that even say? I think this is supposed to be standing up. So we've seen, this is obviously a very large cemetery. It says it was established in 1864. I don't know if it was established here or not. It could have been established somewhere else and moved. But if it was here, we would love to see some of the graves that date back to that time period, especially in an African American cemetery. Because usually early burials like that are very historically fascinating. And this is the road that cuts through the cemetery, and it keeps going, and we've seen a lot of new burials. Haven't seen a lot of really older burials. But as we know, they could be in these horribly thick woods right here. Yeah. Let's see, it looks like the road kind of ends up there. This is more planted pine, I think. More stuff that's been cut, so I'm not seeing anything older here. This is just kind of all part of the investigation that goes into looking at a site such as this. The stuff where we got to thoroughly check the area. Because people in the past, as Cecil and I both know have not. And that's why you frequently find, lost graves that are maybe near a kept cemetery but have never been recorded. And we've both seen that a lot. But in this case, it'd be neat to know the history of this place. Unfortunately, in a lot of the old history books, when it comes to like African American churches, they were not included in the history books many times. And we, as kind of with the video documentation that I do in Cecil surveys, we make sure to include them in both. But it makes it hard to find the history as far as like the African American churches, and only live in oral history now, as having never been recorded in many of the county history books. And I think it's important to document all aspects of history, including what may have been forgotten or disregarded in the past. So you see stuff like this, that it's probably just trash, but see stuff like that, you kind of slow down, especially when you're looking in a cemetery like this, because what I mentioned earlier, the artifacts, very prevalent in African American burials, so could be a clue to where an older part of the cemetery would be. Let's see something like that. We start looking at the ground for field stones or indentions. But this is a huge amount of space. And it's also interesting, it's something that looks as kind of mundane as this cemetery does when we first come into it, still could hold incredible history like what we're looking for. So I am interested in this little really overgrown section right here. This is something that we may see and say, oh, come back in the winter. Well, it's winter now and it's still impenetrable. But I did see some like maybe field stone burials. There's definitely more burials in there. There's one there, there's one there. But there's this whole section that kind of divides. From the two modern areas, indention. But it's just, see, we've got artifacts in here. And I saw that when we first started crossing these woods. And these again, artifacts that frequently find in older African American burials. Just don't see any markings for anything that aligns with that time period. So, but that gives me a clue that they're here. Just not sure where. Did your phone charge? I forgot it might not charge with the Jeep off. You can plug it into the fast charger too. Got another section of our old hardwood and Spanish moss hanging off of it.
That drops off.
Yeah, it does severely drop off there.
Field stone sticking up.
Whoa, what was that? Oh my God. Those big birds.
No.
They're water. What are those? They're turkeys.
Yep.
The trees are filled with turkeys. I didn't know turkeys got that high in the trees, but it is what they look like. Yeah, more paint cans. That looks like an indention right there. I don't know if it is or not.
Right here too.
Yeah, that looks like an indention. That looks like an indention. That is, look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 right there.
Yep.
It kind of looks like waves in the dirt. So boop, boop, boop.
One here too.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. So definitely older burials here. It's going to be roadbed. So very old roadbed here. This probably predates this. Well, it could have gone to a mill that was down here, because that's probably a mill pond. And was the public road that was obviously used for a while because it's so deep. There's dumping from, judging from that refrigerator years ago. So they dumped that refrigerator, it would have been worthless, but people like that sort of thing now. Alright folks, well Cecil and I have had a full day of finding every cemetery we could on the list that Cecil had today. We have not even scratched the surface of Sumter County. It is a huge county, and we've only been in a certain portion of it. There's still a lot to go. I wanted to make this video, it's a really long video, but I wanted to kind of document how the cemetery surveying goes, specifically for what Cecil does, in addition to it kind of being an adventure into history. But you see the sort of thing that he does in a day of going to these different places, taking pictures and recording locations. And you've done all that, now what? After, like, what do you do with all the stuff you've captured today?
I gotta go edit it, make the pages for the book with the GPS locations, check find a grave. If it's not on there, we'll add it. Some of the bigger ones, me and my wife will probably go back and spend a couple days getting those, and then I'll make another list with more GPS coordinates for next time.
Alright folks, so I hope you enjoyed this video, kind of get an understanding of all of the work that goes into doing something like this. It's an impressive, really an impressive thing to do, and it's amazing to see all of the history that we've uncovered today as well. From the forgotten sites to the not forgotten sites that we've seen. I think it's all interesting, and you know, it's incredible. It's very long days, and for my part of this, I filmed this video. I think I've got like 2 hours or so of footage. I'll go home and edit it into a video that'll be released. You heard what Cecil will be doing, and yeah, so that's it. And also, there's something I want to add to the video, that when we do these cemetery surveys, Cecil does add them to find a grave. And I know a lot of people mean well when they see the videos and may try to add something that they've seen in the video to find a grave, but I want to add that Cecil specifically, because I don't do find a grave myself per se, but Cecil does, so he's actively adding this stuff to find a grave. So if you see it on video and it's not on there, please don't add it, because he's going to add it. And sometimes with the different cemeteries, there's cases where we may film a cemetery in its entirety, but it's actually listed as two different cemeteries, where you've got one section and then you may have like a newer section that's actually a different cemetery, because sometimes there'll be cemeteries within cemeteries. We've seen that several times lately, and the last time we didn't film it, unfortunately. But
Or multiple cemeteries with the same name.
yeah, multiple cemeteries with the same name, that too. So just you know, I know people mean well doing that, but we don't want to mess up the historic record. We want to get everything right. So Cecil, when he does this, he adds it to it. So if you're just seeing it on the video, please don't do that. But that being said, I hope everyone enjoyed this video. A big shout out to Cecil for everything he does. It's truly incredible. And we will see you next time on another adventure into history.